already, so you probably saw the title about where you want to put that nuts on the inner tube. You want to put it outside and tie the valve down, and then you could risk the valve being ripped off from the inner tube, or you want to put both of them inside, and then you're not gonna have the valve and the inner tube sits on the rim properly. Well, I think KTM just giving us a solution with the 2025 model year bike, which is I'm gonna show you. But first of all, if you put the nuts outside, you really risk the valve being ripped off, and you don't want to have that chance. Even if Michelin says you need to do that according to the installation instruction. Also, Michelin says you can put both of the nuts outside instead of putting one inside and one outside. And that's kind of confusing. And the answer for that is, when you have a street bike, you want to have one nut on the bottom, one nut on the top, holding the rim and the valve in place. That's for street bike. When you are riding off-road, obviously, time to time, you want to lower the tire pressure, and then that's create a special occasion, because with that, the valve needs to move inward a little bit, or it needs to move a little bit side to side, order, to compensate the lower tire pressure. And what you're gonna do in that case, you're not gonna put the nuts outside. Like the 2025 KTM, they actually removed the nuts from outside. Maybe they wanna save money because they are in trouble with a $2 billion loss. That's another topic. I already talked about that. Who knows what they could save money because of the large quantity what they sell. But anyway, the point is they removed the nuts on the 2025 model year bike, and that way you can lower the tire pressure without ripping the valve off. Boom, that's right there, perfect. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure you have some kind of lubrication powder, or the mousse gel by Michelin, or whatever you choose, because that way the inner tube can slide inside, especially if the valve are offsetted, like it's not sitting straight anymore. And then if you don't want to take the whole thing apart, which is I hate to do, that's my worst thing what I like to do, the tire changes for me is just a no-go. So if you do this lubrication, then the way you're fixing the crooked valve is to put the nuts outside, let all the air out of the tire, and tie the nuts down, then put the air back on, the nuts being still tied, fill it up, and then that's moved the tube back to the right position. Then you can remove your nuts from outside, and then you are back to square one. So you definitely want to have one nut removed, and the other one, if you remove the other one, then you're going to have trouble, because there is like a oval washer holding the valve in place, and that could cause to rip off the valve if you don't have the first nuts tied down and holding that oval washer in place. So the washer needs to be tied down with one nut, and you can play with the other nuts depending if you're riding on street or you're riding off-road. If you're riding off-road, you want to remove the nuts. And the other thing that you can do to avoid the valve to go all the way in, and like that's like extreme cases, but it could happen if some extreme cases. But if you want to avoid to have the valve go all the way into the rim, you want to have one nut, which is you have anyway, tied to the cap. So what you do in that case, you're just gonna have the plastic cap in place, and you want to have the nuts tied to the plastic cap. And I think that's the best case scenario for those of you who using inner tube and not a mousse and you do enduro off-road riding. That's what it is. Simple as that.